Well, hello everyone. Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm here, me, Paul Johnson, and also producer Mackie. Producer Mackie is here as well. Would you like to say hello, Mackie?
Greetings, chat. I don't know what to call you. Are you oatlings, oatlets, sprouts?
Oatlings.
Oatlings?
Oatlings.
But greetings to you all on this Fuck Yeah Friday.
I don't think there's enough of us for us to have a official name. Like, you've got Zone's got Zonelings, Galgara's got Shrimps. I believe that's what the chat is. I don't think we have a name.
There's some pretty good suggestions coming in. Maybe we'll consider them for a next time.
Peasants, that's very kind of you, Mary James. Ota kids, that just sounds like I'm a groomer. Let's not go with that.
That sounds like you owe a lot of child support.
But yes, welcome everyone. Here's what we are working on today. I'll show you. It's a shame Mackie has to see it lagged like the rest of you, several seconds behind. So we got violence happening in the foreground, which I've turned off so as not to spoil it. In the background, we've got our main character sidling out like a crab, and it looks like this. So just gonna shade that. I'm gonna shade that today. Can you see that, Mackie?
Yes, I can.
What do you think? Most people will be focused on the violence happening in the foreground.
I approve. What does chat think?
What does chat think? That you can imagine the violence going on in the front.
You can imagine it's a special dance, a special shuffle.
A special violence shuffle. But yeah, so that is what we are working on today. It's been a very productive week. Completed a lot of shots. Mackie's been fixing up a lot of anatomy for me, which we're talking about this, and you don't get to see it often. People, I don't know if everyone on the stream here is in the Patreon, but we post up the stuff on, the work in progress stuff, process shots on the Patreon, and it's usually, look, here's a few of Mackie's fixes, and here's how I inked over it, and blah blah blah. But we're going to do a lot more of that in the art book that's going to come out with the finished film. So you'll get to see all the stuff that Mackie does behind the scenes.
What a pleasure.
A pleasure, but it's pretty much every scene though. It's not just me sitting around like churning out masterpieces on my own. Here's a shot that I finished. I didn't show this one to Mackie because I was like, well, I could do some pistons on my own. Just ships, ships. Here's the engines starting up. Because I like engines. I like drawing engines. I like drawing pistons. I like drawing mechanical, intricate things. And so, yeah, it kind of looks like that. Let's watch it again! What did you think of that one, Mackie? Is that alright?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
That looks extremely retro. Like if you showed it to me from some sort of random OVA, I'd believe it.
Okay. And we've got, here's an official. We've been, by we, I mean Mackie's been directing the trailer. Here's like the end screen of the trailer. So I don't know if that would work as a poster actually. I'm thinking of doing a, fancier poster, but yeah, it's kind of the logo and everything. So as you can see, it's all coming along. We're getting there.
Actually, that would be a really cool poster.
Yeah, it might work actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the worst day of the week. Space engineers? Yep. Correct. You noticed wisely. Because you know how the driller in this is basically... I made a driller in Space Engineers, and I was like, I'm gonna bring that kind of into my film as well. That was an engine room that I made in Space Engineers years ago. But obviously the big turbine engine things in the background are not Space Engineers. Though me and Mackie, when she was over here, we went to Kellam Island, which is, what was it, like a museum of like Sheffield's industrial history, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they have a big thing called a Bessemer, which is kind of looks a little bit like that thing that I did. That's what I based it on. It was for like pouring super hot steel into, for making molds for Sheffield's steel industry. So yeah, I'm always like, whenever we go places, I'm always like taking photos and thinking, how can I work that into a film somewhere? But yeah.
There was a question about what's your secret sauce for frame rate?
My secret sauce for frame rate is I've found that 16 is pretty decent. 16 frames per second is pretty decent. So I think we talked about this before. Animating on ones is 24 frames per second. So that's your Disney golden age stuff. Most anime TV shows animate on twos, so that's 12 frames per second, which is a bit choppy. So I like to go somewhere in between, about 16. This is 17 that we're doing at the moment. But then for like really fluid action scenes, I'll maybe push it up to 20. Maybe push it up to 20. But obviously the higher the frame rate, the more drawings you have to do. So budget them to where you think that you'll get the most mileage out of them, I guess.
Yeah, not that I don't want it to be beautiful and flowy, but sometimes economic time speaking, I do try to encourage a little bit lower on the frame rates.
Mm-hmm. I've never gone as low as 12 in this film, or in TIE Fighter or R-Type. I've never gone down to 2. But yeah, I think my lowest has been 16.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. Frame rate ramping is also a thing you can do. That's true. Yeah. Especially it's hard to do. I don't know how to do that in TVPaint, for instance. Here's your frame rate, yeah, and you just set it to whatever you want, and that will run at that frame rate across this entire sequence. But if you watch some older anime, Project Echo and whatnot, especially some of like the battle sequences, you'll notice that the frame rate is completely variable. Like it'll be like a punch will be like it'll change completely, and then there'll be like a really quick hit, and like a subliminal like impact frame will be on there for a fraction of a second. So I guess I do all of that kind of stuff I do in Sony Vegas when I import it into there to edit it all together. But yeah, like I said, Mackie's been directing the trailer for the film, so look forward to that. I can't give you a date, but it's looking pretty spooky, actually. Yes,
if anyone wants to know my working process for the trailer, I try to make it so spoopy you go poopy.
That was yes.
That's the tagline on my resume.
That's the brief that I'm hearing for the first time now.
Wait, one question though, in regards to what you're about to work on.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm wondering is the scale of the violence maker compared to the figure, compared to the height of the wall.
So originally she was even taller, and I was like, well, that's way too tall, so I scaled her down. I think she still might be a little bit too big compared to the
wall height itself,
compared to where the screen is.
Yeah.
But I think it's all right, because it's kind of a forced perspective. When you see the foreground elements and the violence that's happening, that's very, very big and like in your face. So I want to just show it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to have some restraint. But yeah, I think it's all right.
Okay.
If not, we can quite easily, scale it down again.
Even after you shade it?
Yeah, I'll just I'll just merge all the layers into one on the character and just scoot her down a bit.
Well, that sounds excellent to me.
People used to set playback frame rate to 24 and just double each individual frame. Not sure. Not sure. Anyway, I am going to start shading, but we've got a topic. We've got a topic in the background, a topic of conversation to speak about, which we can talk about if you like, chat. Which is, so last stream, we talked about James Cameron and his body of work, and this time, I'm thinking, what about John Carpenter and his films?
Yeah, even though, big apologies, we can't talk about The Abyss because I kept postponing watching The Abyss.
Oh, well,
I'm so sorry.
What Mackie didn't know.
3 hours long.
Yeah, what Mackie didn't know was that I got the uncut extended director's version, which is about 3 hours long. Took some tracking down, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to watch a 3-hour film?" Which she couldn't quite face it.
It's difficult for me to ration out the time and the attention. Maybe this week it'll be easier, but yeah, 3 hours for me is a commitment. I come from the good old days when a movie was an hour and a half and you liked it that way.
We could, like I said, we could watch it in 2 halves.
Yeah, sure.
So we could do an hour and a half, then pause and watch the other hour and a half the next day.
Yeah, maybe. Well, also, since I'm not like the best movie person, I might be ill-equipped to ask and answer some stuff about the John Carpenter, so I'll rely on chat to help me out and guide me through this process.
I'm gonna need chat as well because I haven't. Let me bring up the list. Here's a full list of John Carpenter through the ages, including the aggregated Rotten Tomatoes score, right? And I haven't seen all of these. I've seen most of them, but I haven't seen all of them. So, starting in 1974, he did his low budget first movie, Dark Star, which got 77%. What do you think of Dark Star, chat? I mean, it's a very low budget, but I remember that I saw it quite a while ago. I've seen it like 3 times, but the last time
I didn't even know. I've never heard of this one. Yeah,
like if you watch it, it's basically. It's super low budget. It looks like a student film, but like a really good student film. Like not a YouTube short of 2 people with lightsabers in the back garden. Like it looks like, a proper student film from back when people used to have like film experience and whatnot. Streaming lag. I've dropped 0 frames at my end, so it should be alright.
Yeah, I'm fine too.
Yeah. So this is basically 1970s, the solid good shit era. So he starts with Dark Star, which people are like, oh, who's this new director? This is really good. We can't wait to see what he does next. Next, he does Assault on Precinct 13, which gets 96%, which ain't bad for your second film. And I haven't actually seen Assault on Precinct 13, so I'm going to do that this week. Then you got obviously Halloween, masterpiece, 96%, kind of starts the whole. It's not the first film ever to do the slasher thing, but it kind of starts the slasher genre off. Everyone's kind of riffing on it after that. 96%.
What I'm wondering is, because it's mostly starting in the 80s that everyone categorizes him with the slow pacing, building music, special effects. Is that true in the 70s era as well?
Definitely with Halloween. I haven't seen Precinct 13, but yeah, Halloween I think is where the John Carpenter style, where that comes from. Yeah.
Well, so I'm awaiting your scores. What's your scores?
Alright, so my scores would be Dark Star. It's not really fair for me to put a score because I haven't seen it recently, but I'm thinking it's an 80. I'd give it above 77.
Wait, you haven't seen it?
I have seen it just a long time ago, so we'll give it.
Okay.
We'll give it a tentative 80. Yeah.
Okay.
Assault on Precinct 13, haven't seen, so I don't know. Everyone says it's really good. Halloween, 96%. I think that's probably about right. I'd probably go 95.
Ooh, why? Why are you docking a point?
I just... It's... I mean, 95 is still really good. It's just, I've got to bear in mind my favourite movies of all time, which are 100%.
Oh, I hate this kind of rating.
I have to think about this stuff.
You should judge the film by itself, not the film against other films.
You have to have them all in mind, I think.
No, because then you're judging him as a director, as an artist. You're not judging his work for what it is. Personal opinion, hot take.
You can have multiple 100% movies, though. It's just I don't think there are many 100% movies. There is one in this list. Just
I agree, but I think if it's 100%, it's 100%, not because it's 100% compared to a different movie.
Like chat is saying, Dark Star was the precursor to Alien. Same story writer and everything.
Oh.
So yeah. But what do you think? What do you think, chat, about these scores? Would you be?
I see Halloween getting an 87%.
87, really? Because
that's a seasoned critique right there.
I think it's definitely got to be in the 90s, though, hasn't it? It's got to be in the 90s. Just for pure like originality and influence. What's the word? Like the way the impact, the way it impacted the whole horror genre and everything. I think. Dark Star 57%. Interesting. Well, anyway, so he starts off really good, and then in the 80s we get the he can do no wrong kind of era. Although if you look at some of these scores, they're pretty dodgy. So The Fog, which Mackie has seen The Fog because we watched it together. What did you think of The Fog? Do you remember The Fog?
No.
So there's a girl in a lighthouse, and she's running a radio station.
Oh, that one! Wow, I thought that was made later.
No, that's 1980.
No, I like that one.
Yeah, I really like The Fog, and I think I've seen The Fog multiple times. I think it's very, very spooky. The atmosphere is great. I'm going to say 87% for The Fog. Definitely not 75. It definitely deserves higher than that.
All right. Well, Escape from New York is obviously needing a higher score, in my opinion.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, seen it a couple of times.
Because I've seen it once and I can't remember much about it. So I'm gonna. I don't know what to rate. Obviously, it has a huge influence on Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, etc. Like, I mean, the main character is basically Solid Snake, isn't he? So, So I'm gonna put a question mark. So now here we go. The Thing. Controversial opinion. You ready for this? 100% perfect. No, well, okay. No, hold on. 99% almost perfect movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Certainly one of the greatest horror movies ever made. The atmosphere, the effects, the directing, the characters, the music, like the atmosphere, everything about it is perfect. I'm only docking 1 point because the final monster at the end of The Thing, they had to cut a bunch of it because it didn't work. Like the stop motion animation they'd done for it, they tested it on test audiences, and they were like, yeah, that looks a bit janky, so they had to cut it. So when you watch the film with that in mind, you can tell there's a bunch of shots missing of the big final boss in the film, and it kind of looks, it doesn't look as impressive as some of the other creature effects in the film, and it should, because it's the final one. So that's the only reason I'm docking a point. It's 99%, it's almost perfect.
There's a different consideration from the critics of the time. One consideration, someone brought up a great point about the moral panic about violence in cities during that time.
Yeah.
I mean, The Warriors was based on that. It was based on like the huge violence surge in New York. And And the other thing was the movies that were coming alongside it at the time. So it wasn't just that the critics didn't like it, the audience didn't respond well to it either at the time.
No, indeed. Very true.
One critic put it that it was like asking Van Gogh to paint a bench, which I thought was pretty harsh. And that his tone, I guess, I think personally his tone, if it was in the 90s, if that had come out during the 90s alongside grunge and everything else that was being expressed, it would have skyrocketed even higher.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is interesting how sometimes it takes a while for the appreciation of an outlier to catch up.
It does. Like these scores are aggregates that are taken into account how scores have changed since then. Like at the time, the thing, when it came out, it was much lower than an 84. Like people hated it. Roger Ebert said it's all violence, there's absolutely nothing of worth to it. And it's like, even if that's true, which it's not, Roger Ebert, he's dead now, but he was a major movie critic, he should have looked at that and gone, okay, even if I think it's just violence, the sheer special effects must deserve a mention. Like, it's
what it was too, though? It was the difference between his work and a lot of other works was that it wasn't heavily, like quip and dialogue driven, like a lot of the other popular movies at the time, and it felt like they just didn't know how to appreciate it because it didn't give them what they were used to. And I guess something, like it didn't feel like a popcorn flick, I think is what I'm trying to say.
No,
at least at that time it didn't, and I think that kind of really threw everybody off.
Yeah, and I mean, ironically, that's why it's stood the test of time now.
That's why it's so good.
Yeah. If you do make a popcorn flick, then it kind of just fades away. I mean, who's going to remember a lot of the Marvel movies 20 years from now? Who's going to remember Ant-Man and the Wasp? I haven't even seen it. I mean, come on.
What? I only remember Ant-Man because it was a big question. If Ant-Man crawled up Thanos' butt and expanded, would he defeat him? It was a very pressing question on my mind.
Moving on. Christine. Right, 1983. So, I think it's the 70s. I need to get my brain working so I can remember. I haven't drunk any booze, so this is just pure me. Stephen King writes a novel, Christine. It's a scary car. The car is possessed. The car is alive. Novel, and John Carpenter does the movie adaptation of Christine, and it gets 70%. I think it deserves higher than 70%. Stephen King didn't like it. In fact, I think it was one of the reasons why he thought about... because Stephen King directed a movie... He directed one of his own books. He directed the movie version of one of his own books himself. And it was Maximum Overdrive. And I remember he said in interviews he's directing it himself because all the previous directors who have tried to adapt his books have all messed it up. Like, he hated The Shining. He didn't like Christine, so he did Maximum Overdrive himself, and it got really terrible reviews. But anyway, Christine, 70%. What do you think, chat? Christine, 88%? I'm thinking it's in the 80s. I'm thinking it's in the 80s. Let's stick it in the 80s. I'm gonna give it 80%. I'm going to give it 80. This isn't fair because I haven't seen it recently. Ideally, I should have watched all of these this week before the stream, but...
That's a tall order, but...
Oh, I could have done it. You know how much shit I watch in a week. Maximum Overdrive 79. Interesting. There was another spooky car film called The Car that I remember I really liked as a kid, but I only watched it as a kid with my granddad. But anyway, so... The Fog, horror, Escape from New York, action, The Thing, horror, Christine, horror, and then, I guess, he goes, I'm going to do a kind of sci-fi adventure romance film, interesting change in direction, Starman, which was pretty well received, 86%. I haven't seen it for like 20 years, so I don't know. Has anybody seen Starman? Have you seen Starman, Mackie?
The only Starman I know is David Bowie.
Okay.
I have no fucking clue. I've never heard of this movie.
It's an alien. So there's a lady. This is what I remember. There's a lady. Her husband dies. An alien comes down and uses the dead husband's body. So now he looks like the husband, and I think maybe he has some of the memories of the husband, and he's just like exploring Earth and stuff. And so she falls in love with the alien because it looks like the husband, and he can bring dead things back to life and stuff like that. But yeah, I need to see it again. What do you think of Starman then? Starman 83 says Zentron. But anyway, so after Starman, I guess he's studios are like, yeah, you can do real mainstream stuff now. So he does Big Trouble in Little China, which I'm surprised to see 74%
yeah,
there.
I was gonna say obviously better than 74%.
Yeah, like way better.
Yeah.
What's this? A Ketsuban, is that Solo? Ketsuban Solo just subscribed, thank you. If you're even here. But again, I can't really give it a score because I haven't watched it recently enough. I've watched it like 20 years ago. I remember it being really good, but is it really good? I don't know.
No, I think you should score it based off your memory.
Well, I remember it being an incredibly fun 80s action film.
Oh, there we go, 100%.
No. 90%. And then, I'm guessing after all the... You can do... So you've got Starman and Big Trouble in Little China, so, you know, major appeal movies, I guess. He goes back and does the second part after The Thing. The Thing was part one of his, like, what was it? Apocalypse trilogy. They're completely unrelated films, but they're all films about the end of the world, where the world is essentially screwed at the end. And so Prince of Darkness is the second one of those. 61% seems really fucking harsh, I have to say. That does seem harsh. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's definitely not a 61. It's at least in the 80s, I would say. What do you think, chat? Anyone seen Prince of Darkness? I know a lot of people. It's got like a bit of a cult following. A lot of people really like it. Really impressive practice.
74%.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it an 80. I'm gonna give it an 80. Again, doesn't an 80 with that after it, because I should have watched it recently. But yeah, I remember after, because that's the thing though. After The Thing, I'm like, well, filmmakers are meant to only get better. So after The Thing, I expect every film he did, or at least I did when I was a kid. I expected everything I saw after him to be gradually better. And Prince of Darkness was, I think, a step back. Like, atmosphere wasn't as good, it wasn't as scary, didn't have as compelling. I don't know the names of the characters. I know the names of every character in The Thing. I mean, it's got Alice Cooper in it, so that's cool. Anyway, 1988, They Live.
A documentary.
It wasn't supposed to be a documentary, but I guess it is. Spawned many memes. I'm gonna say, and it's back to low budget again with They Live. We're back to, it's not the budget of Big Trouble in Little China. It's basically that he gets Roddy Piper and films it down some back alleys, and so it's kind of a return to the 1970s filmmaking that he did. I would give it a 92, I think. Not a 925, a 92. I think it's really good. I think that it could have been expanded into a whole series, to be honest. And it's got the best fight scene in any movie of all time as well. I think did you watch it with me, Mackie?
Yeah, I did.
Because was it you who fell asleep during the fight? Because the fight was so long and you were tired?
Yes.
That was you, okay.
That was me.
Yeah. Mm. So as you can see, our aggregated scores that we have agreed on 100% officially are much higher than the Rotten Tomatoes scores. So anyway, yeah, 1980s he just does hit after hit, it seems. And then into the 90s, we start having some trouble. We start having some trouble in the 1990s. 92, Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I saw that at the cinema when I lived in Skegness as a teenager, and I'm telling you, it's not a 26%. It's much higher than that. But it wasn't a masterpiece. Do I have special glasses to read Alien Problem? Yes. All of the billboards and signs, like when you put the glasses on, they're all saying things like obey and reproduce, follow authority, consume, and things like that. But yeah, so Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Basically, a guy. Who was it? Who was it? It stars somebody. It stars somebody famous. Comedian, Saturday Night Live person from the 80s. I can't remember. Anyway, I remember it being absolutely fine. I'd say like somewhere in the 70s, 75%. Definitely not 26%. Again, I think that's people looking at it going, we're expecting another The Thing because it's the same director, and instead they get a kind of comedy film about a guy who becomes invisible. So, Kevin Bacon. Are you not thinking of Hollow Man? I think you're thinking of Hollow Man. Yeah, Hollow Man. So, In the Mouth of Madness, 58% is bullshit, because even if this is the Can't Catch a Break era, In the Mouth of Madness is high 80s for me. I'm not quite into the 90s. Like story alone, I'd say it's in the 90s, but I don't think the special effects can quite pull off what they're going for. Is the thing. Have you seen In the Mouth of Madness, Mackie?
Nope, new to me.
Oh, it's good. It's Sam Neill as well, and he's very good in it. Big Trouble needs to be an 85. I mean, I put it at 90, but yeah. So you know, it's the Can't Catch a Break era, and already the scores that I've put in, I'm thinking that actually that might not be the case. But then you get to Village of the Damned, starring Christopher Reeve, Superman, before he had his terrible accident and got paralysed. I believe it's Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
And it's like The Thing, it's a remake of an old black and white film called, I think, Children of the Damned, where aliens do some crazy shit, and everyone in this village gives birth to children with white hair and glowing eyes, and all the children have a hive mind and basically take over the town. And I remember it being an absolutely solid 80%. Like, it's not great. It's certainly not The Thing. It's certainly not The Thing or The Fog, but it's alright. It's fine. It's fine. Escape from LA, 1996. Chat, am I right in thinking that Escape from LA is just a remake of Escape from New York, and that everyone didn't like Escape from LA because it was too comedic or something? What was it about Escape from LA? I know that people who watched the first one did not like the second one.
I mean, does it have the same actor in it?
Yeah. It's still Kurt Russell playing Snake Plissken. Dark City? That's not a Dark City's not a John Carpenter film, is it? It followed on from Escape from New York. So is it a sequel or is it a remake? I can't quite remember. Anyway, I have seen it, but like 30 years ago, so I'm gonna have to put, if I could remember where certain things are on my keyboard, I'm gonna have to put a bunch of these. Vampires, 1998. John Carpenter's Vampires is its full title. and people didn't like it. 42%. I saw it at the cinema, and it's pretty generic. It's a bunch of vampire hunters out in the desert in America, and they go into like vampire nests, and they got a guy with the truck outside with the tow cable on the truck, and they attach the hook onto vampires, and the guy on the truck peels off and pulls them out into the daylight, and they explode.
So Blade.
So it's kind of like Blade, but much lower budget.
Also, didn't Interview with a Vampire come out in '96, around there?
Interview with the Vampire, I think it was mid-90s, I think,
Because that was like a huge thing. So if he made a vampire movie afterwards, I wonder if people were, at the time, comparing the two and saying it was shit.
Yeah. But, it's got James Woods in it. James Woods is like the badass kind of nihilistic, doesn't give a shit about anything vampire hunter. And there's a priest, because the old priest got killed, so they've got a new Catholic priest in, and he's like the rookie. And so it's kind of here's the mentor guy, and here's the guy who's the new guy whose eyes you're meant to see the operation through as he gets used to the day-to-day runnings of a vampire hunting business. But it doesn't really feel like a John Carpenter film to me, and I mean, it's not 42%. I think it's like a 75%. I think about a 75. So yeah, on par with Memoirs of an Invisible Man, I guess.
Okay, the rest of them, I have no idea. Never heard of them, never seen them.
That's why it's the what the fuck happened era. So you've got Ghosts of Mars, which everyone hated. I can't remember. I'm wondering if I watch it now, like, because it's meant to be so terrible, will I actually like it more? I don't know. I have seen it, and I remember it being fairly rubbish, but it's not fair to mark it. It's not fair to score it if I haven't seen it in 30 years. And The Ward I've never even heard of, so I'm going to have to... Spooky Hospital, I think. And that's your John Carpenter through the ages. I'm glad we had this chat. I'm glad we had this little talk chat.
Is that all his movies, or did you just pick like the most standout?
That's everything I saw listed.
No, hold on. That's not all his movies. Isn't there like a Halloween 2, 3, 4, gazillion?
Yeah, but he didn't direct them. Did he? Hold on.
I don't know.
Did he direct Halloween? I know he didn't. He didn't direct any other Halloween 2. No, directed by Rick Rosenthal in his directorial debut. So yeah, Carpenter did the first one, and it was they wanted to keep the cash cow going, so it was just different directors after that.
I think in the later ones though, I read that he wrote the screenplay, but someone else directed it.
Oh, okay.
So he's partially to blame.
But yeah, I think definitely looking at the scores, it is definitely a case of people being way too harsh on him. But also, I think he definitely peaked in the 80s. I mean, after the thing, what are you gonna do? If I made a film like The Thing, like, I'd probably retire because I'd never be able to make anything that good again. I'd try, but I just wouldn't be able to get it. I don't think.
I don't know. That's like if when Capcom made Street Fighter 2, they should have just quit and never made a game again after that.
Well, I mean, arguably, I reckon Street Fighter 2 is better than Street Fighter 2, though, so...
Well, I mean, commercially, Street Fighter 2, it's longevity and different editions and...
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, crazy thing. This dude was born in, 48. So, he was, in his 30s, I think that means, during the 80s. Because when we're talking about, when someone makes something, you expect the next one to be better, it's I'm not sure. I'm not sure as an artist. I feel like having consistency is good if you can be consistently good. But I mean, I think, I don't know, the goal should be to hit the next goalpost, like top yourself every time, but for consistently being good, like, it's not too bad.
I think it's definitely, obviously, yeah, you, like you say, you want to try and top yourself each time. Top your work, rather. Top yourself is colloquially means kill yourself over here, so you don't want to top yourself. But you want to try and make a better film each time. But you know, say with us, yeah, doing the animation, that's pretty easy for us because we just have to take longer, putting more effort into each shot and whatnot, and we can make an animation that looks better each time. But with movies, I think,
well, budget
you're talking
is a
to
huge issue.
you're talking to money people, and
Yeah.
they're not like, how are you gonna make a film better than The Thing if your next film you only get half the budget for it, and
Well,
you
not
can't
only
get the
that,
same
How can you
actors.
keep up if they're all insisting to use, like, you know, CGI for your special effects
Yeah.
and stuff like that?
I mean, looking at all of these, I think the CGI in Ghosts of Mars, but definitely vampires, all the way up to vampires, it's practical. It's practical all the way.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, Invisible Man, he's invisible, so there's a bunch of like camera tricks going on there and whatnot. I remember one scene where just after he's become invisible, he's standing in front of the mirror and he's like, he's drinking something, and he sees it in the mirror because he's invisible. He sees the food going down into his stomach, and like he just pukes up, and you see it all like puking. It's disgusting. But yeah, so that's our John Carpenter retrospective.
There we go.
So I guess I'll do a bit of shading then. Do a bit of shading. Oh, thank you very much. $2 from Arsen Khan. Is it possible to do another Star Wars TIE Fighter episode? At some point in the future, maybe. I don't have any plans at the moment because we've got a lot of. What would you say, Mackie? We've got a lot of plates spinning at the moment.
We have a schedule to adhere to. But maybe when the schedule is free, we can see.
Wow.
But thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for that super chat and for testing the animation. The super chat warning actually works. So thank you. Susan won't get any of that money though because she's gone now, isn't she?
Yep.
Where to start? Where to start when shading something? I think we'll start with her standing up so we can. No, you're welcome. Thank you. I am doing. I don't know if you're following the TIE Fighter Total Conversion. After we finish this current project, I am finishing off my work commitments with the TIE Fighter game, so I'm animating the opening sequence for that. So I guess you will see more TIE Fighters from me in the near future. So I hope that answers the question.
What's the game again, and what's it available on? Like, what's it, like, PC?
It's PC, yeah.
Okay.
It's a remaster and complete conversion of the old TIE Fighter game for PC, the 90s one, but running on a much fancier engine. Could you give Eizouken OST a listen? I mean, I could. I watched Eizouken and I liked it, but I don't remember the music being especially. I mean, I don't remember the music, so it obviously didn't have like a super big effect on me. Why is it like? Is the music a masterpiece or something? Because I haven't heard the OST.
Just to answer the chat, yes, the Street Fighter animation is still a thing. The Space Vietnam is still in talks. It's a lot. It's a lot to dodge, especially like for one person to be working mostly on the animation at a time. But it's there, it's in the back burner, and I'm planning to release some sort of schedule to show each project and what stage of production they're at, so that everyone can keep track.
Yeah, Maki's thinking of doing like a dedicated web page which shows the exact percentage of all of the things that we currently have going, so people can see that, kind of an easy reference thing.
Mm-hmm. But also, thank you very much for your patience.
Yes. Thanks. But yeah, I'll tell you what it is, chat. I'll tell you how we keep getting into these situations. And long story short, it's me. It's me going, someone asks me, hey, do you want to do some animation for this? And I'm like, hey, that sounds like fun. I can do that in a couple of weeks. And I say yes. And it doesn't take a couple of weeks. It takes 2 years. And I should have known better. And yeah, and I say yes. And then that pushes things backwards. So we're never doing that again. Like, I'm never going to just say yes to things without actually having a big meeting about it and looking into our time schedule. And yeah, so I understand people asking, like, where is this thing that you started 50 years ago? And so I'm sorry about that. That's all me.
Yeah, well, we've also discussed that. We've estimated that it takes about, without pre-production, I don't really think it counted post-production either, just straight up drawing, it takes about a month to finish a completely animated, colored minute of animation.
Yeah.
And of course there's like the questions of like hiring more people and stuff like that, but we need to be ready to do those things. And also it's a lot of work when you're trying to focus on putting out the best product, the best art you can put out. So it's still trying to like balance how to like make everything go faster, but also giving the best quality possible without sacrificing that, because I think we're united in that really good animation is the number one thing that we value out of the work.
Yeah, like I'd rather take 10 years to make something look really good than
same
than have 5, even if they were guaranteed to be super popular and be on the front page of Netflix, which they're not, then 5, I'd rather spend 10 years doing one good thing than have 5 mediocre looking things out. And also, with the style that I've chosen, the 80s kind of high budget OVA style, it kind of demands that. Unfortunately, I can't really half-ass it.
Oh, we don't want to anyway.
I wouldn't want to, no.
Nah.
Thank you. You're inspiring.
Have you seen a movie called The Spine of Night by Morgan King?
Rotoscoped animation movie called The Spine of Night by Morgan King. Hold on. Let me copy paste that into here, and I'll take a look later on after the stream, because no, I haven't. That sounds interesting. In other news, chat, you'll be very excited to hear this. I am going tomorrow to see a Depeche Mode tribute band. So that's my life news. If you're interested in what I'm doing. Because Mackie's gotten me into Depeche Mode quite a bit recently. And there's a number of their songs that I really like. So I'm figuring, yeah, okay. I mean, they're playing at my local rock club, so why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, I wish I could go.
I know. I wish you could. But I'll send you photos and videos. I'll tell you how it went. What do you think of that? Like, is that alright, do you think? As a shading guide for the rest of it?
I don't see why not.
I think it's alright. I mean, it's going to be happening in the background. Everyone's eyes are going to be on the blood flying here. But speaking of that variable frame rate thing we were talking about earlier, this is 17 frames per second, but the stuff happening in the foreground is actually 22 frames per second. So it's much smoother and more violent. So what I'll do is render this character out as one video file, put that in Sony Vegas, and then put the stuff on top at a higher frame rate, since I can't mash frame rates about in TVPaint, unfortunately.
Please explain to the chat why Redline is awesome.
Who asks? Let's see. Why is Redline awesome? Well, I was just saying that, you know, I'd rather spend 10 years making something that looks really good, and Redline, it took him 7 years, I believe, to do, and it would have taken them much shorter amount of time if they just CG'd everything. But because they were so dedicated to hand drawing everything, it took them 7 years, and I think the results are fantastic. It's an incredibly good looking film, and just seeing, you know, those angles, those like forced perspective angles and everything, looking at that in 3D, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. But my brain would kind of not really feel much, because it's like, well, obviously you can do that I can do that in a computer now, like. But they had to draw that and figure out the geometry of it and the perspective of it. That's just kind of mind-blowing to me.
I don't know why it makes me think automatically of, was it Aeon Flux that used to be on MTV?
Oh, yeah.
They also had like really crazy angles and stuff going on.
What's his name? The animator who did Aeon Flux, Peter Chung, I think. Yeah, I'm absolute god of animation, that guy. An absolute god of especially of like expressive character animation and the really weird forced perspectives that you were talking about. He's really, really good.
Yeah, I think I was watching that when I was like 9. So I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah, I saw it on MTV when I was younger, and it was kind of, I knew it was really cool, but it was a bit wasted on me. And then when I watched it in my 20s, I was like, holy shit, this really was wasted on me. Like, my brain couldn't appreciate animation like this. Liquid television, there you go, yeah. Also, we've been going for an hour. Does anyone want to do a coffee break, a tea break? Just let me know. Perhaps you need to go and take a nice relaxing poo.
Always good for the body, mind, and soul.
Could you use Alexei Savelyev for TIE Fighter?
Who's that?
Who is that? Who is that? Thanks for the $2, by the way. You don't have to. I'll answer for free. But I'm also not gonna say, you know, don't throw money at me. I appreciate it. But I don't know who that is though. Who is Alexei? For post-production, I use Sony Vegas. I render my scenes out of TVPaint as AVI files, and then I slap them all together in Sony Vegas. Let's have a look. Is it a composer? No, they've the TIE Fighter game that I'm doing the animation for. They already have a composer doing the music for that. So, you know, I'm just animating that. The sound effects and everything have been done by other members of the team. So I'm guessing the answer will be no to your question. with Shigeru Tamura and Phantasmagoria. Why does that sound familiar? Is that a survival horror game? I do pose to pose. There are some things that I always do straight ahead, like explosions and smoke and things like that, and fire. But yeah, character stuff. No way, I can't do straight ahead. What do you think, Mackie, about straight ahead versus planned out pose by pose?
Depends what you're going for. With at least more classical Western animation, I like straight ahead because it makes super expressive movements. But for things that work with realistic proportions, I think planned out poses works much better.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never done explosions and effects and stuff like that, but I can definitely see why straight ahead works for it.
Yeah, for fire and stuff like that, I found that it's just easier. It's actually easier to do it straight ahead. But I guess it depends how your brain works. Like, a lot of people's brains work differently in terms of animation and just drawing in general.
Animation especially. Animation was the first time that someone asked me, how did you do that? And I had no idea how to explain the way things look in my brain and how it came out on the screen. It's weird because animation's like you're trying to explain a feeling. Like, people get a feeling from what they watch, and when you try to help other people do that, I feel like the only way you can do that is by referencing other people's work. But it was a lot more difficult for me than just figure drawing to explain stuff.
You should chat. You should, if only you could see some of this hear some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I'll finish a scene, like roughs of a scene or whatever, and I'll show it to Mackie, and she's like, "Yeah, that looks pretty good, but you could really tighten this up here by doing this and this." And I'm like, I don't understand. And she's like, she's like, yeah, just the musculature here, and I'm like, I don't understand. And she has to like send me visual, like Babby's first kind of arrows here and here, like this bit goes up, this bit goes down, because explaining things to me as though I'm an artist just doesn't work. I have to be explained to like I'm a child that's never seen a bit of paper.
Oh no, that's different. I think it's not that. I think we have two different ways of approaching, even just conceptual stuff. But also, like, I have a type of language that I'm used to from an academic background, and you're more organically trained, so I can see why that would be weird.
That's a very kind way of saying self-taught.
No.
Never took an animation class in my life, and it shows.
Doesn't matter. I never took any single art class till like college when I got desperate and I didn't know what to do.
It's too painterly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just do what she says. That's generally like the path to victory. When it comes to making animation the best I can make it look. Just do what Mackie says. It's like sometimes you're like, does that make sense? I'm like, no, but I'll just do it that anyway, though. And it always looks better.
Is the girl in your TIE Fighter short based on anyone?
No. Is the answer.
Good talk.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Was anybody based on anything, or did you just make it up out of your head?
I just made it up. The hardest part was giving everyone stupid Star Wars sounding names. Because everyone in Star Wars apart from Luke, everyone has to have a weird sounding name, don't they? I think there's a couple more real world names in it, but everyone else has like weird like spacey names. $20, so you can buy or rent The Spine of Night. I know you'll love it. Very kind. The creator started by himself on YouTube, then gained attention from Hollywood. Well, thank you very much. next stream, I will tell you what I think of it. Let's gather here again on the last Friday of next month, and I will tell you what I think of it.
Yeah, I'm legit writing it down to check it out.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that together. Yeah. Yeah, the TIE Fighter stuff with the 3D camera movements, like, obviously I'd like to be able to do those traditionally, but I've only got so much hard drive space in my brain, like, I can't figure out. That's hard. Yeah, and in my defense, like, I'm normally way harder on myself, but in my defense on this one, that's how they did it on Macross. The Macross TV series has some incredibly impressive scanning perspective shots of the city, and they would put like boxes and cigarette packets on a table, move the camera around, as reference, and then draw over those cigarette boxes and things to show how so they were basically doing the same thing but with real life objects, and I'm doing that but with 3D objects, I guess.
Also, there's a question about if you could introduce technician Ashlyn, who you're animating, and I'd like to do it in a Street Fighter profile way, so if you could please explain what she does, her 3 likes and her 3 dislikes.
Do we need, what are the 3 sizes? There's what is the 3 sizes that you always get in Japanese games?
Isn't it like 32, 24, 32, something like that?
But, like, so it's bust, waist, and
hips.
Okay, obviously the most important information. I don't know. She's like we did actually write down some.
That's why I'm asking you. You wrote down.
Yeah,
some things.
Well, you were there as well though. Like you were like, you need to write down how her brain works so we can so that can inform the way she moves and what she feels and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she likes mining rocks.
We gotta do a little better than that.
She likes mining rocks because, especially when you get a good rock that has some decent minerals in it, because that pays pretty well. And she has a scar on the shoulder from some industrial accident, and as a result, she is very careful about stuff. Because normally when you have an accident, you generally get lucky and you don't have like a horrible deforming like scar or something to show for it. Right? So she kept that to, remind herself, be careful when opening machinery and operating heavy mechanical things. And that's about all I can think of, really.
Wait, what's her dislike?
She doesn't like Marvel movies.
I wasn't there for this part of the write-up.
Well, isn't Alien as a series is owned by Disney now, isn't it? So I'm changing that to she loves Marvel movies and Disney. She absolutely loves Disney movies. That official, you heard it here.
Yeah. People brought up a good point. We need her blood type. I don't remember because we don't use that often.
Just put O negative, like.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's O negative.
If she's like, isn't there a blood type that they say that's like RH or R negative? So that means that she's part of like the reptilian race. Can we do that?
If you want.
Bring a little intrigue.
If you want. I mean, you designed her face though, so you must have some ideas what she's like.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I just wanted to hear it from you because you've been working on her the whole time.
I don't think much. I just animate. I don't really think much.
Look, I think that she's level-headed. She has a lot of experience on the field. She knows she's not there to socialize and have a great time. She's there to make money and go home when it's time to go home. I don't think that she likes things that are done in a sloppy manner, out of protocol. But it's the field she's always done, so it's just what she knows. That's how I think of her.
I think that is correct. Yeah. That's why she's pissed at the pilot for always she doesn't like anime. She doesn't like anime because the pilot's always like watching his hentai movies and stuff. And he should be piloting the ship, so that kind of pisses her off a bit. She doesn't like. She's there to do a job. She doesn't like it when people mess up her job with their own stupid things.
Puts her paycheck in jeopardy. Nobody would like that.
Nobody would
that's
like.
Pretty relatable.
There's a time and a place for messing around and acting the fool, and it's not when you're. It's not when you're drilling asteroids.
Well, yeah, that's like an OSHA violation. You don't want to mess around with heavy machinery in space incorrectly. Also, what are your thoughts on the Street Fighter 6 character designs? Do we dare ask?
I'm going to let you field this question.
It's too sad for me to answer.
You're not a fan, I think, is the short answer.
I feel like maybe in a 2D sense, some of these designs were pretty solid. But once they got translated into 3D, I feel like compared to past work, I mean, even Abel as a character design from Street Fighter 4, I feel like they could have tied it in more to push it towards iconic.
So you're saying they're a bit too bland, I think?
I think that there are visual strengths that could have been expanded on. But I know also, I mean, it depends. Sometimes you see a character and you're like, whatever, and then you play with them and you like their style, how it feels on the controller. So, but that's me, because I'm a little bit picky, because I have really high standards from the past era of things.
If you don't know, Maki's a very, very big fan of Capcom character designs.
I take their art really seriously. So.
Yeah. People like Bengus and whatnot. So
and Akiman. Yeah. So, I mean, but we're in a different time, and
yeah.
Just, I mean, I'm not saying the characters aren't memorable, but I feel like there's a lot of them from past generations that were like 10 years could pass by and you'll remember their name and everything about them.
Yeah, they all just look like mixed martial arts fighters to me. This new design they're going for, and I'm like, okay. Everyone's wearing essentially the same stuff. All of the like costumes are way too busy. Even ones they're bringing back, like Jury, like it's kind of they've gone back to her Street Fighter 4 costume, but they've just made it really busy now. And I mean, okay, I guess.
But I gotta agree with Chad. Listen, Chun-Li is my bread and butter. Chun-Li is my life. Chun-Li is my wife, okay? But as part of the Big Thigh Committee, they're too big. It's too much. The body's out of balance, and like...
Too thick for you.
Maybe there is too much of a good thing. But also, I don't like her outfit in the new one that much, because I get that they're trying to do this whole... everyone's progressing in the timeline, and Chun-Li's like, I don't know, 60 or whatever now. But
she's the frumpy Chinese aunt that...
Yeah, I don't like that for her.
Nah. I mean, no one else is aging, so...
I would have loved it if they put her, like, in a police uniform or something. Like she was officially part of whatever it was. NATO.
Interpol.
But yeah, that's my thought. I'm just quietly observing, and we'll see what happens to Street Fighter 6.
I mean, here's something, chat. Here's a thought that can percolate in our brains. When things were 2D back in the old days, you would design a character. So you design, say your name's Mr. Capcom, and you design Guile. And he's got a green top on, he's got some camouflage trousers, he's got his cool hair. That's the 2D sprite. That's what it's going to look like. And so you know that this is what the character is going to look like in probably the next 5 games in that series. So you better make that character design really strong and striking. The silhouette's got to work. If it's just a black silhouette against the wall, you've got to look at that and go, okay, that's Guile. You've got to recognise it from a million miles away. But things have changed now that everything's CG. Like, everyone has multiple costumes. Like, every character has multiple costumes. And so you're not designing a character with just one colour scheme and one costume in mind anymore. And I think that's made things way, way less unique. I think it's diluted the pool of how characters look, if that makes sense. Might just be me, don't know.
I think it worked when they first put out, I forgot if the costume started at the end of 4 or at 5, but I think at first it seemed kind of okay-ish because these were characters that most people knew, and it's been very established for like the past, I don't know, 20 years. So giving them a costume change seemed like a fresh idea.
Yeah.
But especially when you're introducing new characters, it's hard to get, I don't know, attached, I guess, to their new stories and their new costumes because there's no consistency.
Stories?
I was trying to be kind.
What stories?
I was trying to be nice. Nothing. Yeah.
It's kind of depressing when Street Fighter 2, the original Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, has more story than the more recent games. And like, you know, the more recent games, you could do as much story as you wanted. You've got infinite fucking disk space storage. All they had was like a couple of sentences to spare at the end of the CPS2 arcade board back in the day. But yeah, they've got like story modes for the characters that are just a complete joke. Here, do these 2 fights and get a still shot of your character and some, I don't know, incredibly unfunny joke.
Well, someone asked, wouldn't it be odd if a character wore the same thing over and over? I mean, well, if you read manga, especially shonen manga, they have like their uniform. I don't know, you could name any classical any classic shonen jump manga. The main character doesn't really have that many outfit changes, and I don't see why Street Fighter, I don't know, it's like, are we assuming that the tournaments take place over a decade versus like one event, one day of ass kicking? But I don't know. If I was a fighter and I had to go to events, yeah, I'm wearing the same thing every time, so people know like what school I'm from or what allegiance I have or what my style is, or, you know, for me it makes sense.
I think obviously they, you know, in the manga and in the animated things, like obviously when they're not, unless it's Ryu who only has one pair of clothes, like they wear like normal street clothes and stuff when they're not fighting.
Yeah.
So yeah, off screen they wear different stuff.
Also,
yeah.
I think we just accept at this point that Ryu probably smells.
Well, there is that official. There's that
like
official
he's always
artwork of him
in the forest.
In the laundromat, though, isn't there?
Yes.
You know, so he obviously goes to those. When he's in Japan, anyway, he just goes to the coin laundry and just stands there in his pants with his arms on his hips, waiting for his laundry to finish.
See, I think that's more interesting than if he just went to like Urban Outfitters and just bought some jeans and whatever.
Grew up around creative since '69. Well, I mean, I don't feel so old now, so that makes me feel better.
Like the song "Summer of '69," because that's putting myself out there as old. So
that's when I bought my first real 6-string.
I think we've talked this before. Like, you didn't grow up with creatives in your household, did you?
Nah, no.
But your family seems to be collectively into like a lot of Need for Speed stuff.
What do you mean, like racing and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, my brother got into his radio-controlled car racing when he was a teenager, and my mother got into that and she kind of became his pit crew. So that was, because when you look at my mother, you don't really think of her changing motors and engines and stuff, but there was a time when she did that kind of thing.
Also, he's into like motorbikes.
Yeah,
now,
he's
right?
into bikes and whatnot now. Yeah.
And you had an uncle that was also
Oh,
racer?
yeah, Uncle John raced at Silverstone and places like that. Yeah.
See, that's pretty awesome.
That's
I wouldn't
cool.
mind if I grew up around no other family members that were into art. At least that sounds really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it all changed in the 90s when I saw Akira and decided that anime was my life now, and everyone in my family was like, shut up talking about the weird Japanese shit, we don't care. They weren't that rude, but that's what they thought, and I never stopped talking about it, and I was just obnoxious to be around. And everyone at school was like, oh, he's talking about his Japanese cartoons again.
No one in your school knew about anime?
I mean, I got some people into it, but no one was really into it. No, they weren't like buying the videos and stuff. I would say Capcom, but I like SNK as well. I do like SNK a lot. The Neo Geo games in the arcade were kind of the pinnacle of graphics at the time, so I was always very impressed with when I heard the Neo Geo logo sound. Chinese cartoons.
There used to be an issue in the household, so I hid my power level. And then once Dragon Ball Z started airing on Toonami, I could not anymore. And I had a concerned parent about, why are you always drawing these angry men? What is this anger? And I think like they were concerned I would turn to violence or something. I was like, it's just how it looks. Looks awesome.
They were concerned you were going to dye your hair blonde and start throwing fireballs around.
Yes, perhaps. I'd be quite a delinquent. Dude, I used to bring printouts too. We used to put printouts on our binders, like the binders that had the little see-through slipcover on the front, and whatever was like your favorite anime is what you would put at the front of your binder, and you just kind of casually leave it out on your desk.
Looking back, I didn't know it at the time, but you know, you can look back at your past self and cringe, which is what I do. And I don't know what kind of personality trait this is, apart from like turbo autism, but I really wanted everything I liked. I wanted everyone else to be into that, and if they weren't into all the things that I liked, I thought, well, I like those things, so they must be really good. And so if someone else isn't into it, then that means they just haven't been exposed to it enough. So if I just talk about it non-stop, then eventually they'll go, yeah, you're absolutely right, this is the greatest thing ever. And it never entered my brain, like never, that maybe they just aren't into animation. Like that just didn't. And I think that's some serious mental illness going on back then. Seriously, like I think there was something wrong with me. I'm not like that now.
That's appropriate for school age. That's appropriate.
I guess, maybe.
I think so.
I mean, I'm glad that I grew out of that. What age was I? So this was the year before the sixth form. Obviously school years and stuff in England are a bit different. So it was you've got high school, you got junior school, then you got high school, and then at the end of high school you can stay to do the sixth form. if you want, which is what I did. So this was like the year before leaving high school. So, you know, we're talking about the age when most people are out drinking and stuff. And I was wanting to tell people about my Japanese cartoons. It's a bit weird. And there's no wonder people thought it was weird, because it was.
Well, now you'd be really popular if you
Yeah,
did
yeah.
that.
No, it's weird that it's like mainstream now.
What was the smelliest fandom when it was your era?
Well, going to anime cons, there were people who really stank.
Yeah, but like it's been going around. Listen, chat. I'm not committing slander. I don't know. I haven't been.
Okay.
But there are videos going around where cosplayers are confirming that My Hero Academia cosplayers are indeed the stinkiest. I don't know why. I haven't been.
I don't know anything about this. I did hear a big thing where, was it Magic the Gathering? I've never been into Magic the Gathering, so I don't know, but they had to make an official statement saying you've got to start, like, showering. No, it's Smash Brothers tournaments, wasn't it? Yeah, the Smash Brothers...
Oh my god, yes,
the Smash Brothers players all stank really bad, apparently. Yeah.
Well, it was Magic the Gathering where everyone needed to pull their pants up when they sat.
So as not to show the black hole card. Don't play the black hole card.
As to not expose the rosy cheeks.
I have no idea why it was Smash Brothers, but yeah, I remember it being a thing. We haven't done a tea break yet, should we?
We have not. I believe it is appropriate. I think we're all thirsty.
Thirsty, eh? Thirsty for discussion, because we're all intellectual types here.
Absolutely.
Discussing the things that really matter, like John Carpenter's movies and why I was a stupid child at school. Okay, let's do it. I'll see you back here. Chat. Maki, are you going to get a drink?
I shall.
Okay. Then I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
A very special cup of coffee. A new standard in richness. A new standard in pureness. Blended together to give a new standard in smooth. The Gold Blend standard. Only from Nescafe.
It's only memories of Earth and the rich smell of this coffee that keeps my spirits up. Coffee. At least we'll reach our destination soon. Coffee. You make a fine cup of coffee. You've made my day.
Are you taking your coffee break now, Alan?
Yeah, that's right. You want some? Coffee. And I had to go make coffee for two. Hurry up, would you? My coffee's starting to cool off. Coffee, my salvation from my day-to-day drudgery. Coffee. A little bitter, but still an excellent blend.
Boy, you should switch to decaf.
Hello. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm having a dinner party and I've run out of coffee.
Come in.
Thank you.
Will Gold Blend be too good for your guests?
Oh, I think they could get used to it.
It's a very sophisticated coffee.
They have very sophisticated taste.
Do they?
Yes. Well, I must be getting back.
Now, golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Have you met your new neighbor yet?
Oh, I've popped in for coffee.
Come on, Dad. You're playing Vicky, not Andre Agassi.
Don't be so sure.
Agassi.
Hi, call me Andre.
Nescafe, Andre?
You bet. Nescafe sure is coffee at its best. That's the best thing served to me all week. Who's up for doubles?
Yeah! The best days are Nescafe days.
今結構忙しいんだろそういえば 例の歌の歌詞はでき
私はあなたが好き。
Days looking new and bright, and you're gonna start it right. Folgers starting to brew, the aroma's calling you. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Mornings are brighter with mountain-grown Folgers because mountain-grown coffee has more enticing aroma than any other kind.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Please enjoy this footage of velvety smooth beans, followed by a well-shot close-up of a hot brown liquid that's brewed by mixing heated water.
All over the world, the word for great coffee flavor is Nescafe.
We're the world's favorite brand of instant coffees.
In America, Nescafe's great flavor comes two ways.
We're the world's best-selling too.
Nescafe Regular in the red label.
If Nescafe can please the whole wide world.
And now Nescafe Decaffeinated in the green label.
We can sure please you.
Same kind of flavor. Nescafe Regular, Nescafe Decaffeinated. What's your pleasure?
お嬢さん方を応接室に。
はい。
美味しいコーヒーを入れましょうかね。美味しいコーヒーができましたよ。
I only showed you that to remind you you desperately need your fix.
男の温度が上がった。飲んで飲んでまた飲みたい。缶入りコーヒーウエスト。
Go west.
いつもそばにいてね。
ボス、私のそばにいてね。ボス、決して私見捨てないでお願い。Boss, I can't live without you. Boss, I can't live without you. Boss, いつもそばにいてね。Boss, 私のそばにいてね。Boss, 決して私見捨てないでお願い。Boss, I can't live without you. Boss, I can't live without you.
What timing? I'm back, just as the coffee reel finished. Is Mackie back? Guess Mackie's still making a drink? Oh. Okay, we have a problem. I've talked about this before. You know how Wacom Intuos tablets have a really dodgily soldered power port. Every time I move, this is a new one, and every time I move it, Windows makes the device disconnected sound. And even though all the lights are still on here, it's not moving. Oh, my cursor's moving. My cursor's moving. My cursor is moving now, but it's misaligned. It's misaligned to the screen, and I've lost all pressure sensitivity. One moment.
Well, that is terrible.
It's really annoying. I'm getting absolutely sick and tired of it. Let me try restarting the servers. See if that does anything. That never does anything, but no, it didn't. Try bringing up tablet properties. Tablet properties says it's working. Let me try drawing something in Photoshop, see if that kickstarts it. No, the pressure's still gone on it. Oh, I'm gonna have to get like an actual real tablet at some point, aren't I? Because this is kind of untenable.
I mean, it's pretty consistent. Like I didn't think you'd have to deal with that for a while.
No, it started so quickly this time. One moment. Yeah, so there's no pressure sensitivity on Photoshop. There's no pressure sensitivity in TVPaint. And I'm not going to restart my computer in the middle of a stream. Let me unplug and plug back in again. No, still no good. Sorry about this, chat. Oof. Just restarting Photoshop and seeing if that actually kicks it into gear, because it does sometimes. It's the strangest things make it work. So now pressure sensitivity works in Photoshop. Does it work in TVPaint? No, it's still gone in TVPaint. I'm going to have to restart TVPaint. One moment.
Also, for the comment about changing to XP Pen, I'm about to sell mine. I have like a giant one. I have a giant screen, and it's been a nightmare and a half, and the pen lags. I haven't been happy with it. There was another brand, I think it was called UG, like UGEE, that I was using before that was top notch, but they weren't selling anymore. I couldn't find them. But XP Pen, I would personally not recommend unless you're doing easygoing stuff and you have a lot of patience for crappy UI. Just putting it out there.
Well, restarting, I'm gonna have to make sure I don't move too much, because it's resting on my lap, and if I move too much it dies again. But yeah, I restarted TVPaint and that has brought our pressure sensitivity back, so I think we're okay again now. But yeah, it's I'm gonna have to do something, but I mean I can't. How much? Let's have a look. Do they even tell you on the Wacom store, on the Wacom site? Do they even tell you how much these things cost? Because I'm not paying like $1,000 for a graphics tablet.
I mean, to be fair, the one that you're using is from like 98.
It's old. It's old.
Any update would be a good update.
So Wacom Intuos Pro is what I'm using now. Blah 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 blah. That's great. Just.
No, I think I was there before, and getting a price was...
They're just not going to tell you, are they?
No, but I'm sure someone in chat will know.
So here's a Wacom Intuos Pro Large. That's what I'm using now. Shop now. £500? Really? Really? 500 quid? £500? That's quite a lot of money. I mean, I'd do it if it has a working power cable that doesn't just break, because if it breaks, I know that Wacom, everyone says that Wacom's returns policy is terrible. Like, it's cheaper to buy a new tablet than it is to send your broken one in to be fixed, is what I've heard. So I don't know.
Well, we'd have to look at reviews, but I think from whenever your tablet is till now, I think they might have addressed that.
Yeah.
Or you could get one that's like 3-4 years old. Still be good, I think.
Yeah, we could try eBay or something. But I mean, this one is it's second hand, but it's fairly new, and it's already doing that power port jiggling about nonsense, and every time it disconnects, it kills my pressure sensitivity. Anyway, what's chat saying? Sorry, chat, I've been ignoring you. The Intuos Pro you can use wireless. How does that work then? Is it because I haven't had much luck with wireless things. I mean, we could try a different company, I guess. I mean, I just need it to work. I put my pen on the tablet and it draws the line. That's all I need, really. Although it does help if it's big, because my hand shakes a lot. So a smaller tablet would be a bit too inaccurate for my shitty motor control. Display tablet. I did use one when I was working in Australia, but honestly my hand gets in the way. I like just a basic tablet because I'm not looking at the tablet and I can see everything that I'm drawing on the screen. My hand is never in the way of what I'm drawing. Also, it hurt my arm a bit having to, because if it's a display tablet I'd have to be hunched down over it looking down, and if you prop it up like 45 degrees or whatever, my arm just aches. So this just seems to be the best way for me. Go for the Huion Canvas 24 4K. Yeah, the customer support is terrible with Wacom, it seems. In Saitama. I think Ben used to live in Saitama. It's right out in the Inaka, isn't it? Anyway, Maki.
Yes.
I need to... Oh, hold on. I restarted without resetting my frame rate. I need to ask you a very important question.
I'm ready.
I don't actually have a question.
I didn't think so. The people want to know if you're drinking tea. What kind of tea?
How do you know that I'm drinking tea? You can't tell, can you, just from looking?
I don't know. Someone asked.
Oh, I'm drinking basic ass PG tips. This is what I'm
ass
drinking.
P. We got it. You heard it here
basic
first.
ass PG tips. With 2 sugars and a bit of milk.
Also, if you'd confirm, is Street Fighter Alpha the best Capcom series?
It depends on your criteria. Like, as a disclaimer here, I'm terrible at fighting games, so I'm mostly interested in Street Fighter for the graphics and the way it looks and stuff like that. So if you were to ask my friend Rick, who is really, really into Street Fighter, he swears that gameplay wise and, you know, frame lag, frame input, most responsive, best net play, all the stuff that the actual gamers really care about, he swears that the best one is actually HD Remix, the one that the Udon people did all the HD graphics for.
Net play. Back in my day, we smacked each other with rocks and we liked it.
Exactly, yeah. But my favourite, I think, is Alpha 2. That's my favourite graphics, and you know, it's got some good story stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, best story wise is Alpha 3. It's every single character has like multiple like starting and mid boss and end boss encounters and stuff like that. And like the story modes, especially if you look at a playthrough of Alpha 3 or 03 on YouTube, it just makes the story modes on the newer Street Fighter games look like an absolute joke. And I know people don't play fighting games for story, but I mean,
it counts.
It's nice to have it. It's nice to have it though, yeah.
Oh,
no.
Well, someone brought up a good point. If it's any Capcom series, would you agree it's Resident Evil then?
What as the best Capcom series?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say Street Fighter, but I do really like Resident Evil.
I thought you might say Resident Evil because it has even more of a storyline, and you like the spoopy stuff.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I think obviously the characters. Wesker's really cool. I love Wesker. And Jill and Chris and whatnot. But I think Street Fighter has just a much more compelling lineup of characters. But it's a kind of fantasy-ish world fighting game, so they have complete leeway to make up characters that breathe fire and stuff, don't they? Whereas Resident Evil at least started out as being a little bit more realistic, so everyone had to look like they could conceivably be working in the police department. So you're not going to get someone with pink hair throwing fireballs and stuff like that, are you, in Resident Evil? Of course, later on it went absolutely crazy, and that's basically what Wesker did. Wesker's like, I don't know, throwing missiles at people.
Did you ever watch a playthrough or try yourself the Resident Evil that came out for VR?
No, I've barely done any VR. Apart from VR chat, I've barely done any VR stuff. And even then, VR chat, I don't have a VR headset, so I've never done that with a headset on. The Silver Ball Heroes thing is on YouTube, and I watched a bit of that a couple of months ago, actually. Also, thank you for the compliments on the animation. I wouldn't say this thing I'm working on now is especially amazing. It's just somebody standing up, but I'm glad you like it. But yeah, I reckon Street Fighter is my favourite Capcom series.
It would be, I don't know. It works for me because it appeals to like everything that I like, but also nostalgia. Third Strike.
Yeah, Third Strike had just absurd animation.
The animation, the sound. That's one of the few games legit that like I would listen to the soundtrack just for the sake of it because I thought it was pretty good. Also, there's a recommendation. Sounds like something for you. It's a 4-hour documentary on Intellivision Amico scandal. Do you know anything about that?
Why? My eyes keep glancing over to chat, and I keep missing all of these interesting comments.
Well, that's why I read them out to you.
Oh, hang on, it's on top chat. I need it to be on thingy chat, don't I? Live chat. So everything was going in a weird order for me. I don't know why it does that by default. We have a Espanol and English speaker here, so I hope that you haven't spilled anything in your kitchen and gotten a piso mojado. As you can see, my Spanish is top quality.
Extremely impressive.
Very impressive. Nobody wants a piso mojado. A 4-hour documentary on the Intellivision, really. Send us a link, I'll watch that later. I do like my my document, and the longer the better. I'll watch a 7-hour documentary if you want. I still haven't finished that Castlevania one, that's like 10 hours long. I can't actually speak Spanish, so I'm not. What are you saying about R-Type? Or do I prefer R-Type or Gradius?
If you're familiar with either one,
I think I'll leave this one to you, Mackie.
I don't know which language to answer in.
In Spanish, show off your skills.
It's not much to show off. Si vas a la página de Oro King, puedes ver que hay un playlist, y en el playlist puedes ver la animación que él hizo de R-Type. So, yeah, just saying, if you go to Oro King's page and you go to playlist, He has R-Type in the playlist and some other things that aren't even posted on his own channel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get bored...
Yeah, I did a R-Type animation a while ago. I like R-Type a lot. And Contra was always too hard. You know, the Nintendo hard. Games that were Nintendo hard. They were always too hard for me. I didn't play Contra. I played Grisor. That's what it was called in the arcades over here. They changed the name to Grisor because of the Iran-Contra thing that was happening in the 80s. It was like a real-world controversy, so they changed the name of a bunch of games. So I played Grisor in the arcade over here. And it was hard. I never completed it.
Are you gonna watch the Half-Life movie?
Is there a Half-Life movie?
Oh no, I'm thinking of the Halo movie. Never mind.
They did a Halo TV series recently that everyone hated, didn't they? I didn't follow it. I've kind of checked out of I've checked out of modern TV because I'm just always disappointed. I quite liked Inside Job, chat, just as something to binge whilst I ate. And as soon as Netflix heard that I liked it, they cancelled it.
I can't. I'm like, no, they'll bring it back. They have to bring it back. It's hard for me to accept it.
No, it's gone. I liked the Dark Crystal, and they cancelled that. So I'm telling you, chat, hear my words. If you like something, don't tell me to watch it, because if I like it, it's gonna get cancelled. Like, keep me far away from your favourite things, because if I like it, they'll cancel it, like they did Dark Crystal. That show was doing really well, and everyone liked it, and all the reviews were good. And then I guess COVID happened, and I'm like, no, that's gone.
That's crazy. Like, I thought, okay, fine, understandable, but bring it back, man. What the hell?
Bring it back, yeah.
Yeah.
After spending all that money on the sets and the puppets and everything, like, dude,
it's a waste. They got donated to, and like that's when I was like, oh, come on. When I saw it got donated to the Puppetry Center of Arts in Atlanta, and I'm like, what are you have a show to make? Take them back.
He's typing Spanish racial epithets about how you look with the headset. Is this true?
Hold on, I didn't see none of that. And to answer above, yes, I also speak Portuguese.
Ah.
But I speak Southern. I speak Gaúcho Portuguese, so I think that makes me kind of like a cowboy slang hick accent or something.
I like Spanish as a language. I can't speak it, but I like it. I think it's quite soothing on the ears. There are some languages I don't like, and I'm not going to tell you which ones. I'm not going to get myself cancelled for saying that so-and-so language sounds like cancer in my ears. I'm old enough to know what not to say.
We're going to go ahead and edit that out on the re-upload.
Yeah. We'll never get that Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship with talk like that.
Would you learn any other language, or would Spanish be your last stop, your last try?
Japanese was my last try. Like, I'm not good with languages. I'm terrible with languages.
Dude,
can't.
You say that, but you pick up on Spanish quick.
No, I don't. Just
yes.
1 or 2 words.
No, every time you leave, like, the U.S., you have like a new fucking armory of words that you can throw at people, and I'm like, I told him that 8 months ago. How does he remember it?
Look, the only Spanish words I know is caballo is horse.
There you go.
Trabajo is work.
Uh-huh.
Piso mojado, obviously. Feliz Navidad
Good one.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. And,
Case closed. So
and I also know chisme.
Yeah, chisme is very important.
Chisme is very important. And that's all. That's all I know.
That's pretty decent.
That's all I know. I think that Satorika Zero is saying that my animations are really epic. So
see,
thank you for
Oda
that.
King here trying to pretend he doesn't speak Spanish.
Well, I mean, when half of it looks like it, I mean, realmente is obviously really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Buenas noches, los padres. to all la padres out there.
What's your favorite Spanish swear word?
Cabrón. Tetas.
Only one? Rude.
Cabrón.
I'll teach you a Spanish phrase that I heard growing up quite often.
Uh-huh.
It won't make sense. It's one of those ones that don't make sense in English, but when you hear it in Spanish, you know you're in fucking trouble.
Go on then.
Okay, literally translated, and my ethnic peeps will know this one. I take a shit on 100.
Okay, what is it in Spanish then?
Me cago en 100.
And how? What's the etymology like? What does it mean?
I shit on 100.
100 what?
We don't know. That's why it's scary. We don't know what. We've gathered a bunch of people in the room, and it's like, well, 100 what? And we don't know. I think when I was growing up, I asked, what does it mean? And my mom said something like, she tried to play it off. It was something about how there's 100 people at a wedding. And, that's what they said. That's what she used to say, me caso en 100. I marry on 100 instead of me cago.
What does that mean?
I don't fucking know. But you know, when you hear it, it's kind of like our equivalent of like, you know, fuck or damn it kind of thing. So yeah, you just hear it and you're like, okay, I'm gonna leave before I get my ass beat.
Before people start shitting on you and 100 more people.
I haven't experienced it yet. But that's why I left the room. I didn't want to find out. But there you go. So if you ever want to be taken real seriously, that's what you yell in the room.
I will.
All right.
I'll enter a room and say, chisme time! And everyone will give me the hottest chisme.
That's a good one. Taking the piss. What are you guys doing across the pond?
I don't quite understand where taking the piss comes from. So that's it's probably a similar kind of thing actually. No one really knows where it came from.
What's the English phrase you use the most? I mean, like UK English. Do you call your friends mates?
No, I don't. It always sounds really I don't know. I'm like, what? I've never met you. You're not my mate. One I don't use so much, but I used to all the time, was chancing my arm, or chancing his arm, or he's over there. Where is Rick? Oh, he's over there chancing his arm with some girl. So next time you're trying to get it on with someone,
well,
chat.
don't. Yeah, I guess, but like, don't tell the girl you're chancing with her.
Well, if she asks, say, I can't lie, I am chancing my arm with you.
Alright.
And maybe she'll respond well to that. I'd be like, what an honest individual.
Okay, I need to know. There's a claim here that P used to treat leather, so taking the piss was stealing the resource.
Really? Is this true?
I don't know if
I
it's
tend
true.
I tend to believe Zentron usually. So, I mean, maybe this is true.
Oh, geez, it does it all. It cures you of painful jellyfish stings. It helps to upholster your sofa. What endless resources of pee.
Mm. Oh, also, I have to warn you, chat. It's 1 minute past midnight. My internet tends to die around midnight, like it did last stream. It usually does it about 20 minutes past midnight. But it's variable. Sometimes it's 40 minutes past, sometimes it's midnight, like we don't know. So if the stream suddenly dies, my internet went down again. So I'll say goodbye in advance.
Wait, but if the stream dies,
Yeah.
how will the people find you? Tell the people where to find you.
I'm on Twitter, at King7707.
Well, I meant also what we're doing is that we grab the chat, or rather we grab the stream and then we upload it to the second channel.
Oh, yes, so that's the second channel, which is King Animation Channel 2. So if you just search for that, that's the live stream. That's like the live stream archive channel, so I will upload this stream to there.
Yep. And then if you get the notification from YouTube, we're posting ahead of time when the next stream is, but so far it's been lining up to be the last Friday of the month.
Yeah, that seems pretty good at the moment. We're last Friday of each month we stream.
Also, there's the concern if your neighbors are taking up all the bandwidth because they're watching tetas later.
They're looking at tetas all night. Yeah, I think so. It's possible. All the tetas, every shape, every size.
Every teta on the internet.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, if it does die, I hope you all have a very nice weekend. I will be watching Depeche Mode, not the actual Depeche Mode. So, you know, if there's a band playing in your local area, maybe go see a band this weekend. And we can discuss next stream what our band listening activities were like. Oh, I think, yeah, this whole piss being used in colour dyes, I think that was one of the episodes of Worst Jobs in History, I think. It's all up on YouTube. There's a bunch of people go and basically do the worst jobs in history as they would have been performed. And yeah, there's a dye one. There was a clothes making one that involved piss.
What,
I
that's
do remember.
For real?
Yeah, this is real.
What the hell? I'm sure there's an OnlyFans for that.
Well, I'm not starting it. I mean, I need the money, the cost of living crisis and all, but I'm not starting
I heard the money's pretty good.
One stream we will address the situation. I'll get people's opinions. What is it with people selling feet pics for money? Like, is this a recent thing? How did this happen?
Wait, are we questioning the people that sell the pics or the people that buy the pics?
I guess the whole phenomenon, like, where did this come from?
That's always been a thing.
Not always. I don't ever remember hearing about this as a kid.
Well,
and then suddenly,
you don't look at that stuff as a kid.
Well, no, but it's like now it's everywhere. It's just like a meme that became real. It's not a recent thing. Piss was converted to ammonia, and that was what was used for the colour.
Should we grab an expert? Should we get a foot expert?
Yeah, Tarantino. We'll get Tarantino on and ask him what is it? What is it? We'll get him and Dan Schneider on.
There we go. Wow.
And it'll be the stream of the century.
Yep.
Not the piss stream, just the stream. Yes, that's what I heard. A crosswire in the brain. So I understand how the fetish occurs. I just don't get how it went so mainstream.
Well, in terms of production, it has been advertised all across TikTok as a good form of, hustle culture.
Okay.
So,
I guess.
Well, it's supposed to be a thing. It's specialized. Supposedly, people pay a lot of money for it, and the cost isn't too high compared to other things.
You just need some legs, I guess. How does a fetish occur now? That is an interesting question, isn't it? I think that...
That sounds like we need like a WikiHow for this one.
We need a terrible WikiHow pictures to show us. I think a lot of it is like, a lot of it is just the way your brain was wired when you were born. Like, some things go wrong sometimes. And some of it might be people have like really weird experiences as a kid, and that just kind of warps their brain into thinking so-and-so thing is sexy. Like, and I mean, I'm guessing this whole stream's getting demonetized anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh my god, yeah.
But like, when you get into like the really like disgusting stuff, like people who get turned on by thinking of shit and stuff like that.
Okay, tread carefully, my friend.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, when you get into stuff like that, like, I don't understand how anyone could be into that kind of stuff. But how does... I am really interested, like, how the hell does someone develop that fetish? Like, do they just wake up one day and go, I really like the smell of shit? I don't understand. Like, or you know, these are the burning questions that I need studies done on so I can know.
Yeah, I mean, I have read of, whatchamacallit, poopy regrets.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's like a thing that's purely visually consumed, I guess. And the people that try to take the next step seem to really, really regret it.
It came from the Hora Ashi scene from Dirty Pair. Which scene is this? I've seen all of Dirty Pair. I don't remember that.
Well, what are your thoughts on the Ayla Mouse being shot down out of the sky?
Hold on, I'm just looking at chat. 5 tons of shading. Well, didn't Makoto Shinkai already did that with that foot fetish film he did? I think. But anyway, the Ayla Mouse getting shot out of the sky. I think it's a hell of a time we live in, where we've gone from the government must deny UFOs at every turn to, hey, we shot 5 UFOs down this month. Like, what is going on? Official report from the White House. We shot down some more UFOs. I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
Do you believe in them Naruto running across the galaxy?
I mean, yeah, I believe in them Naruto running across the galaxy. Why wouldn't they do that? Obviously the fastest way to travel, isn't it? I don't know. I'm skeptical of everything. Everything that isn't the abiding love of God. I am skeptical of. So one thing in life I'm sure of.
Do you think it's just... No, you know what? I'm going to say here, live on the chat, weather balloon, bullshit. That's what I'm saying. That's the stupidest weather balloon I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, it was mainland Chinese government though, so they're
Once
not
again,
known.
tread carefully.
They're not. I'll just say, they're not known for being very, very good at what they do, are they? Like, I could totally see them going, "Let's spy on America." Oh shit! Our weather balloon's flown directly over the White House. Quick, pull up! Everyone will see it. Like, I could absolutely see that happening with the Chinese government.
See, I don't even think it was a spy balloon. Like, we have technology where they can put, like, microscopic telescope, whatever, microscope level shit in your bloodstream to check out your kidneys. How you gonna build that big ass stupid looking trailer in the sky? Just saying, this is bullshit. Didn't they say it was like a bus long, or was it 3 buses long, or some shit like that?
I don't know. I mean, China said that it was a research balloon for research purposes, and it got blown over there by accident. So they did admit that it was theirs, apparently.
Okay, if a spaceship started, like, spiraling out from the atmosphere, right? Like, it's important technology. But it'd say big-ass letters, NASA. Or a flag. Or something. These were like a white t-shirt just floating around. Like, it was kind of stupid. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with these things, the world's so hard to navigate that I'm just like, well, half of this could be true, half of it could be disinformation put out by world governments. Like, I don't know. Do I need to know? Most of this stuff I'm like, do I need to know? Is it going to affect my day-to-day life? Like, the world could be flat for all I know. It doesn't actually affect my day-to-day life. I'm still going to be sat here animating. Because I'm never going into space, am I? So, just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. I understand the search for truth being one of the highest human, what's the word? Like, virtues? Prerogatives? Directives? Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, and all that. But sometimes we're just not going to get the truth, so why worry?
That's right, kids. Stay home. Produce.
Consume.
What?
Hmm?
This is a lie.
David Stay died? No.
This is a lie.
What from? How? Why? He's not even old. Is this a F in chat for Boogie 29488 or whatever situation? Come on to your games. Oh, Leiji Matsumoto died as well, yeah. I mean, he was, what, like 85 or something? He was quite old, and I mean, he's done so much stuff. I mean, even if he'd done 1/10 the amount of famous series he'd done, that would already be way more than most people. So I think he can go on to the Sea of Stars quite proud in all the things that he achieved. Any games you played together or with friends, local or online? I used to play StarCraft Brood War all the time. And I don't know if VR chat counts as a game, but I do VR chat with Maggie sometimes. We just hang around and shit post in real life.
Yeah, I was gonna say he refuses to play anything competitive with me.
I guess I'm not very good at competitive games. I mean, we
just
did
for fun.
We did the potion game though, didn't we? When I was at your place.
Yeah, and I had to like convince you to play for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I like one-player games. I'm playing Dishonored, the first Dishonored at the moment. and it's every bit as good as I remember. It's just like really good.
Doesn't want me to kick his butt. Understandable.
I don't know. I've always liked one-player games better. I've just because you can play them at your own pace, and I think the last multiplayer game that I was really into was Left 4 Dead 1. Yeah, like I really liked Left 4 Dead, and Left 4 Dead 2 was very good as well. I think, yeah, because you weren't competing, like you had to work as a team, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Left 4 Dead. Boogie lost all his money to a crypto scam, and my arcade world is still pretty cool. Thank you. Shenmue, interesting. Play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and hear all your favourite slurs in lobby. I mean, that's the I just bought an Xbox and I have a headset experience, isn't it? I feel sorry for people who didn't experience that. That was kind of a rite of passage growing up. People saying the gamer word. I honestly didn't hear anyone saying the gamer word. Like I don't remember ever hearing that. Maybe they just didn't do that as much in England, but I mean it was worldwide, wasn't it? Anyone could. I haven't played Shenmue, but when it came out, I used to watch Ben play it because he was doing Japanese at the time, and we were living in the same house, and so he was playing it in Japanese, and just the coming home from working at McDonald's and seeing that Ben had got himself a real job as well in Shenmue, driving a forklift truck around for several hours a day. It's just, yeah. Interesting times. I remember the graphics being absolutely incredible at the time. Like, I didn't think that graphics could ever get any better than what I was seeing. Also, 17 minutes passed and the internet is still holding up. We have dropped 0 frames. I reckon if we make it to past, we should call it a night though, because we've been going for a good 2.5 hours at that point. And Mackie's getting sleepy like a little baby.
Well, I have cats to feed.
You have cats that they're going to break in. They're going to break in and just start wrecking up the place.
Yeah, I'm sure they're forming a strategic pyramid right now to start battling down the doors.
With Leo at the bottom and Lily at the top. You go from heaviest to lightest, that's how it works. Indeed, yeah, managing hostess buzz. When I used to play Vice City, Grand Theft Auto, and go around in my helicopter picking up cash from all the strip bars that I ran and stuff. Oxygen Not Included, I've played a lot of Oxygen Not Included as well. I showed Mackie that the other day and she was like, what the hell are you doing with your life?
That's not what I said.
That's what that was the subtext of what you were thinking.
I said it was very impressive.
It's like watching someone look at spreadsheets, that's what you thought. Which is absolutely true, that's just what it's like. Yeah, I did play RimWorld. I stopped after I kind of got, because it's kind of got an end point, hasn't it? Once you build the ship and you're ready to leave, you've kind of done everything at that point. So I know there's loads of mods though that expand on it and everything. But yeah, I really liked RimWorld whilst I played it. And I tell you what else, different kind of game, but I really loved Subnautica whilst I played that as well. But again, that's got an end point where once you do the last bit of the game, it's kind of like, well, I may as well build the rocket and get off the planet now, because I've done everything, kind of thing. There's no incentive to stay on the planet and build your base up and all that kind of stuff, I don't think. No story incentive anyway. But damn, that was a good game. That was incredibly atmospheric. What's the best game that you've played in recent years, Mackie? Is it Animal Crossing?
I mean...
Do you want me to tell people about your ethno state? That only sheep are allowed?
I wanted a sheep-only island because I like the sheep and I was accused of many things.
Famous alt-right YouTuber Mackie Ubermac starting her sheep ethno state.
It's not my fault all the other campers were ugly.
I think that's just cruel.
It's my island. I can put whoever I want on it. No, that was mostly during pandemic though. I haven't been a long time, and my citizens guilt trip me, and then I don't want to go back even more.
Oh, I bet they've been wanting to see you. I bet they're lonely.
Maybe. You know, I haven't really had much interest because there's nothing. I'm not compatible with the games that are coming out.
You've got Bayonetta. You could play Bayonetta.
I guess. I don't know.
When I was at Mackie's house, I played Bayonetta. I completed the original Bayonetta again. And oh, it's good. Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I think part of it is because I'm very much like a hardware person, an arcade hardware person. And Nintendo satisfies that sometimes, but there hasn't really been anything that's come out that's, I don't know, intrigued me. And then everything else just kind of looks a bit the same-ish.
Mm-hmm. The chat's saying it's okay, you were only racist during COVID.
That's what's going to show up under my Wikipedia.
Uh-huh. Went off the rails during COVID and started an ethno state, that's what it'll say. Someone here has played the Outer Wilds. I didn't play that, but I did play the Outer Worlds when it came out. And I remember having a good time with it up until the last part, when all of the choices you made actually amounted to nothing. Absolutely amounted to nothing whatsoever, but I still enjoyed it. I just think that, you know, don't advertise it as every choice you make is really important, when actually no, it isn't at all. But yeah, I like that kind of game, I guess. But I also like the absolute time sink games like, and this is why I'm careful not to play them, time sink games like Don't Starve and Oxygen Not Included, Kerbal Space Program, oof. Kerbal Space Program, and you know, stuff like that, Space Engineers. But yeah, I think that's where we differ a lot. I think those games you're definitely not interested in, and are you? You're not really interested in building your own spaceships and making them fly.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm not, but I personally, like, alright, so I've been told before that what I call play and what other people call play are different things. For me, play is like a basic sense of like what you would do when you were a kid, or something that's like reactive, and for a lot of other people, play means like crunchy, numerical, spreadsheety stuff. So those things are interesting, but that's not what I would do to play. That's not what I would do to like let loose or let my imagination wander or take in information for fun.
Yeah.
So
you wouldn't really be into a SimCity game?
You know, that's the weird thing. Like, I would, but every time I've gone into, well, I love SimCity, but like the first one on the Nintendo, because it has super comfy music. I don't know. Those games don't have like, I guess when I mean arcade mechanics.
Yeah.
And those games are more like elaborate. I don't know, but they're very atmospheric, so I do like watching other people play them.
I think the atmospheric part is what gets me with them. That's what I really like.
Let's see. You don't like building space lasers to kill green people? No, I just want to get to the killing part. That's the problem. Like, that's why I like fighting games. I go in there and I kick someone's ass or they kick my ass. There's no prepping for it. I punch or you punch.
Factorio is a game that I would never start because I'd never animate anything again. I'd just be playing that all day, wouldn't I?
I have seen people lose their soul to that game.
Mm-hmm. You have to be careful. And I mean, it's the old quote. If you enjoyed the time you wasted, then you didn't waste your time. So it's not like I'd be wasting my time doing something I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But I do have projects to finish though, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it is a game, it's just not what I would call playing.
Mm-hmm.
What else is a game? Okay, I do like abstract games though. I love, whatchamacallit, abstract board games. Like, I don't know, chess and checkers and all that crap. Because once again, it's just about showing up and kicking the other person's ass.
You never kicked my ass at drafts though, did you?
You didn't kick my ass either.
No, it was a stalemate. as every game of drafts or checkers, I guess it's called over there. Like, they always end in a stalemate.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody win. It always ends in a complete stalemate. What's Kevin's game of choice? Yeah, I chess is too cerebral for me, I'm afraid. I played a lot of Stellaris, and I mean that's a game with here you go. Let me show you. Prepare yourselves. I'll have to turn the mask off for this. Let me explain Stellaris to you. Here's a blank screen. Right. Most games, they have a learning curve that's like this, and Stellaris is like this, and then when you know it, you're fine. It's like Stellaris is like it has a ladder. It has a learning ladder that you have to climb, and then it goes along like that. You have to watch videos before you even play the game to explain what the menus do before you even unpause the game. So, but it is fun. It's just very, very samey. You're an artist on Distant Worlds 2, which is like Stellaris. Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of it. That's the problem though these days. Like, there's so many games coming out, and everyone's vying for, you know, advertising for your attention on their game. I just so many games I just don't hear about a lot of them, and I bet there's loads that I'd really like. It's just that there's the submarine one, the underwater space submarine game, Barotrauma, I think it's called. And I forgot how I heard about that, but I played it and I really liked it. But like, I would never have heard about that normally. Right, I'm just going to finish the shoulder, and then I think we'll call it a night. Are you still alive, Mackie, or are you falling asleep?
No, I'm alive.
Are you thinking of those poor starving children, those cats?
Oh, I forgot about those. Just kidding.
They're nothing but skin and bones outside, all mewling to be fed.
All 300 pounds of them.
Oh, I bet Obi's so hungry. Oh, poor Obi.
What do you think is the main reason that you take to a digital game versus board game? Too high level.
The board games take way too much explaining. I feel like you're not with a board game. You don't have a in-game tutorial, do you?
You just said Stellaris is impossible to play unless you.
Oh yeah. That's an exception though. Like normally, I wouldn't play a game that you literally need a wiki for, like Stellaris or Don't Starve.
I have to disagree with the amount of times you've mentioned a game that you only figured it out because you looked at the wiki.
Yeah. So Don't Starve is like you're not going to figure that out on your own. Like you need a wiki for that. Stellaris, you need a wiki. Kerbal Space Program, you don't need a wiki. You need to watch a multi-part video tutorial series by Scott Manley on how to get your space plane working. And even then, only this past year did I do a working space plane. Like it's just yeah. So there are a few that I play that normally I'd be like, there's no way I'm going to play a game that requires hundreds of hours of research into how I play the game. But there are a few that get me like that, but they have to be really good.
The patience, though.
I guess.
I don't know. It's a barrier to entry to me.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah.
I think that makes sense for the guy that's animating a shit ton of frames day in and day out.
Well, I mean, I like them because they're creative. Games like that, like I liked Space Engineers because I wanted to build a massive space carrier brick by brick of my own design, and once I reached the block limit and the game wouldn't let me place any more blocks down, and the game was running at like 1 frame per second because it couldn't handle the graphics anymore, I was like, yeah, I think I've kind of hit the wall here, and so I stopped. But yeah, I like Kerbal Space Program. I like building space planes and making them look cool and having all the things I want to do on them, and it's really atmospheric. I like atmosphere in games a lot. I think I still think Dungeon Keeper is unmatched for atmosphere. I've never played a game that makes you think that you're underground like Dungeon Keeper does. Well, maybe Subnautica underwater, not underground, but yeah, I guess I like atmosphere in games, I suppose. It literally is rocket science. Do I use Space Engineers as reference for animating environments? I mean, it's been an influence on this project, I think. Yeah. There's a couple of vehicles. Well, there's one vehicle and one engine room in this that are directly taken from things that I built in Space Engineers. And I thought I'd leave them in because Space Engineers fans might look at that and think it's a cool Easter egg, maybe. But yeah, I think we'll call it a day there. I've drank my tea. We've done 2.5 hours of work, which isn't bad. We talked about the films of John Carpenter. Here's the list. We talked about John Carpenter's movies. I got a film recommendation, so yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Is there anything you would like to say, Mackie, to wonderful people in chat?
Well, wonderful people in chat, thank you again for joining us and putting up with us.
Going off on crazy tangents.
And letting us be a part of your Friday evening or Saturday morning.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually quite an honour if you think about it, that people would want to spend their Friday night with us. It's quite nice.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks for joining us. I hope you have learned a thing or two, because I definitely have. And yeah, keep watch for updates either on the channel announcing the next stream. You can go to channel 2 for replay of this stream, replay of other streams, because that's where they all get moved now. And we will see you next time.
See you later, chat. Bye for now. If I can find the right button. Hold on. If I can find the right button.